Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is my first live on this series, and my first live for 2025. Actually, yeah. What 13 days into no 13 days into February. I don't know, 44 days into the new year. Don't ask me how I know it's probably the 44th day of the year. Um, and I'm really excited. I'm excited because I just believe this is going to really bless and help some women, some moms. And I really believe that it's going to really push the trajectory of where we are, especially as persons who may be not, if you may be living in a different country than your original country, or like let's say you are Jamaican or Caribbean that's now living in the US, or another, as I mentioned, another country. I think it's going to be incredibly important for your mindset shift, and for you to recognize that regardless of where you are today, it is okay to change anyway, right? It is okay to literally get up today and decide that you want your life to change and to make the change. And I know it sounds kind of like almost unrealistic, but it's not. Even though change is a process, there is a point in that process of change that you do come to acceptance and recognition of what is the next step and what is necessary. And so today I'm going to be talking about, like it said in the title, Faith That Moves Mountains, the one system that helped me to overcome fear and build a faith-based business. All right. And that one system helped me to move from $500, my first $500. So excited. I still remember it like yesterday, to making $50,000 in less than a year. And I recognize that I don't want to be one of those persons that tell you anything that's like a get rich quick scheme, or one of those persons that share things that sound like, too good to be true. I want to be true to what my process was like. I want to be true to some of the things that you may encounter. And I want to be very true to what it takes to build it again. Because that's where I am, right? I'm in a place where I'm building it again. I basically have taken like maybe, I don't want to say almost 3 years of a pause, but it's not so much of a pause than consistent back to back struggles in my life that I did not have the mental capacity to recognize that I had the choice, and to like live into the choice of being a full-time entrepreneur. Like that was just not, you know, I just believe that I always would need something on the side, some job, something. And I still currently have somewhat of a part-time job, but I'm transitioning, and I really want this time I'm transitioning, I am bringing alongside some women who that's their desire, right? They felt led to leave their 9 to 5, not because of hype, not because it's what everybody says sounds good to do, not because it's like it just they don't like their 9 to 5, they don't like having a boss, not for any of those reasons, but really because you felt led to leave your 9 to 5, because you on the inside of you know that God has called you to full-time marketplace ministry, and you know that it's not just for you to go make money and do all the things, but it is for you to bless and serve the people that you're called to serve, take care of your family, as well as to build something great, to build something great. Hey Tonya, thanks for watching. So as I mentioned, that's what this series is going to be called. And yesterday, 3 things I think really led me to recognizing that it was time to rise up. And one of them was the fact that 3 different instances the word arise came, All right. So in the morning when I got up, I journaled and I was journaling, and my journal ended up really being a prayer to God, for like resurrendering my children to Him, because the past 2 weeks they were really sick. And oh, thank you, girl. That's my sister-in-law on. I love her so much. Hey, Valencia. So, I they were sick for a couple days, and I just thank you. I just had to resurrender my children to God, because I recognize that honestly He's the one that keeps us, He's the one that helps us, He's the one that's allowed me to be able to do any of the things that I've been able to do. And so with that mindset, I literally just wrote out that prayer. But in the prayer, one of the things that He said to me was, when you start being obedient to doing what I've called you to do, is when you will start to feel some of the things that are like hard or a struggle, is when you start to feel the release. It's when you arise, right? And then another person sent me this conference about rising up, and then there was something else with rise. But I recognized that what he was saying to me was, I had to get up. I don't know if you know the story in the Bible of the little girl that was 12 years old that had died. And, Jesus went into the room and He just said, arise, get up, little girl, get up. That's literally what it was. In, I think it's Hebrew, or Greek, it's called Talit, whatever. But my point is that just spoke volumes to me. Like, it was time to just get up. And another thing that happened as well yesterday, I'll just share real quick, was my kids were building something, and my son accidentally like rolled over on it and it fell flat to the ground. And my daughter goes panicked. She's like, oh my god, you messed up, or it was like a building with soup in it. It's like, you messed up my soup. And he goes, I can build it again. And I don't know what in that spoke volumes to me, but it was almost like I had built this business before. It had made money, it had made impact. Life happened and I stopped, and it was like, but I can build it again. I am alive, I am in my right mind, I am well, I have the resources, I have the mindset, I can build it again. And so that's why I'm here today. I'm really here today to share how to overcome the fear and the anxiety and the stressors that come with trying to build anything, right? So whether it's your next promotion in your career, building your family, like there's these fears and mindset that come up. I want to talk about those, right? The three biggest ones. I want to talk about how to practically apply your faith that moves mountains, right? To be able to actually transition into that next level for yourself, or whatever that next period is that that you felt called to, or you feel pulled to, but you don't know what it's gonna look like, and you just don't know if you have the faith to get it done, or if you have the faith to walk in it, right? And honestly, like, this video has taken me, as I mentioned, 44 days into the new year. Okay, I sat with knowing I needed to do this for 44 days. So I want to encourage you, it is okay that you are struggling with doubt. It is okay that you're struggling with anxiety around whatever the thing is. It is okay. I guess what is not the thing that you want to stay with it being okay is not making any form of change. Like, if there is something that God has placed on your heart to do, if there's something that you really believe in, if there's a dream or a desire that you keep going back to, like, it is at some point you have to allow yourself to start. Even if you start small, even if you start with me, like right now with 2 people on a live, it is okay to just give yourself permission to doubt and start anyway, to not have it figured out and start anyway, to not know the full plan and start anyway, to not have a clue what you're doing, but start anyway, right? So the 3 biggest fears that most persons have when they're transitioning into anything, as I mentioned, whether that's a career or into full-time business, is you have the 3 big fears around fear of failure, right? Financial instability and feeling what they call imposter syndrome or feeling unqualified, right? And so I want to talk real quickly about those three fears, and then I'll go into the systems. And I know I said one system in my title, but it's really two systems that helped me to go from my first $500, which I still am very excited about. I still remember that. I think that was 2021. Yeah, my first $500 to $50,000 in a couple of, like, less than a year, right? I want to talk about that because it was very, those systems really helped me. So the fears, let's talk about the fears first. The first fear is failure, right? Hi Shauna, welcome. Anytime you're gonna do something new, the fear of failure, or sometimes for other people it's the fear of success, is always the first thing that comes up, right? The fear of failure, the fear of success looks like, who am I to do this thing? What will people think about me? What will people say? Am I really like capable of this? So like the fear of failure comes in so many different forms. Like even for me to get back on live, like I thought about the fear of like, I've done this before. I don't want to do this again. What will people think of me doing it again? Even though, I used to do it and I used to do it consistently and then I fell off and now I'm doing it again. Like, but I gave myself permission to do it anyway. And I'll talk about the mindset behind that after I deal with these fears, right? But that's fear of failure. Fear of failure is like, I tried to do this business before and it didn't work. I tried to launch this thing before and it didn't work. I tried to, whatever it is that you try to do, fear of failure is going to come back and try to bite you in the butt and be like, that's the reason not to go ahead and do it again, right? And the fear of success, same thing, right? Like, are people gonna think that, oh, because I'm doing this, no, it means that, I'm better than them, or I think I'm better than them. Like all of those crazy lies, right? Those are all connected to a deep fear that we tend to make it seem so like above our heads, but it's really typical. Like everybody goes through these fears. Like no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, everybody has these fears. It's just like even when you have to go to an interview for a new job, right? There's a fear of like, will I fit in? Will these people like me? Will I know will I answer the questions properly? Will I know what to say? Like, will I just trip and fall over on my face? Like all of these fears. And just message me in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And just like, yeah, like if there's one dream or one desire that you'd love to accomplish by the end of 2025, drop it in the chat, just put it out there. Like that's one of the first things you need to do is get it out your head, put it out there. So yeah, so that's fear of failure, fear of success. And it is a very real fear. Any of your fears can be very real in the sense of it is valid. I think the more we acknowledge the fear, the doubt, the anxiety, and acknowledge it versus try to avoid it, ignore it, push it away, is like the more you have a better grip on it. But the moment you like pretend it doesn't exist, it's not there, or act kind of oblivious to it, or act like it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect you, that's when it really can start to affect you, right? So yeah, those are the first like two fears, right, that will come up, right? And they're connected, so that's like, yeah. The next one is financial instability. Hi, Auntie Yvonne. Thanks for joining. Please share out this live. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody on your page that can connect to what I'm sharing today, right? So the next one is financial instability. Now, listen, let us back up for a second, because we fear starting what God has called us to start, if that's, going into full-time entrepreneurship, because we're like, okay, I don't have the money to start a business. I don't have the money to do this or to do that. And like, I'm already struggling with money. And I'm like, that is why it makes sense to just do what God is telling you to do. Because the reality is you are financially unstable anyway, right? Like you already do not have the level of income that you desire to be able to create the life that you desire. Like if there's an emergency right now, God forbid, with a family member or a friend that you love and you want to be able to support, can you do it? right? Like, are you in the position to be able to do it? And I'm not saying that most business owners like are in the position either way, right? Another live I'll talk about the statistics when it comes on to women-owned business, right? But I think my point is like, even if that's not the case, right? Like, that should be one of the reasons you recognize that fearing instability is like, it may look different in your business, but instability is already happening in your life, right? You're already probably living paycheck to paycheck. So having the faith to believe that if you step into what God has called you to do, you will stop living in paycheck to paycheck, or you will stop living like below, you know, whatever your means are. It's like, it's gonna require you to recognize that your situation is already not the ideal situation, right? Hey, DJ, welcome. So I'm talking right now about the 3 fears that prevent persons from transitioning into whatever it is that God's called them to. And specifically for me, I usually help moms or women entrepreneur to be able to transition to full-time business, but I'm sure these tips apply for men as well. Okay, it might be a different mindset, but these are some of the 3 same fears, right? Fear around financial instability, fear around failure, rejection, trauma, fear around failure of success, right? And then the third fear is feeling unqualified, right? It's feeling like, who am I? Like, I haven't accomplished all these. Okay, I have not made $1 million in my business yet. That is okay. I think letting go of the need to have it all together, right, is like one of the things that is important to break away from that mindset of I'm not qualified. The truth is, if you are somebody that reads your Bible, like if you read almost any story, you will recognize that there was rarely anybody that would have been qualified for what they were called to do, okay? Except Jesus. Like, who was qualified to walk into any of the things? Like Moses, like what was his qualification to go lead all these, they said millions of people, right? To out of the promised land. Like, who actually was qualified? Nobody on paper would have been qualified for whatever they were called to do. But that didn't stop them. What they went in with whatever they were called to do was a recognition of the God who had called them to do it. If he did call them to do it, he in and of himself was the qualification. Like, following him was the qualification that they needed. Like, making sure they understood his instruction. Oh, my video is frozen. Can you guys hear me now? Ooh. Let me know if you guys can hear me or if it's still frozen. I definitely should have it up. Next time I'm gonna have it up on the screen so that I can see if there's any tech issues over here. Okay, I'm good. Okay, great. So my point is, feeling unqualified is a valid feeling. Like, your feeling is valid, but your feeling is not the truth. Your feeling is not what you're gonna live by in order to change your life. You know, great. Thank you for letting me know. You can hear me now, right? And as you're coming in, just type, where you're tuning in from. Just say hey in the chat. That would be great to let me know that you were here. So yeah, there's no, like, you don't need to have all the certifications. You don't need to have all of the on paper qualifications that people think that you need to have in order for you to do whatever the desire is that God has placed on your heart, or whatever the thing is that you recognize you need to do. At some point, qualifications can come into play, and they're necessary and they're helpful, but don't let it be the deterrent. Because let me tell you something, honey, that I've learned. Favor is the ultimate qualifier. Okay? Favor from God is the ultimate qualifier. Like, I've been in rooms, around tables, spoken at places that I had no business on paper being at, because the favor of God was greater than my qualifications on paper. The favor of God connected me to the right people. The favor of God helped me to align to the right place at the right time. So favor from God is the best qualifier that you need. So you don't need to look at your qualifications on paper in order to step into whatever it is that is the next transition. And again, I really want you to recognize that all of these things that you hear or think about or feel, they are valid. They're not valid, but it's just that we have to put them into perspective of the bigger picture. If the bigger picture is that you desire a life where you can do more, you can live more in alignment with what you want for yourself, then you can't stay in the place of the feeling and the fear and the anxiety and the frustration. At some point, you must allow that to be fuel for action. You must allow that to be fuel to get into wherever it is that you're needing to go to, right? So yeah, fear has stopped me many times, right? And this now is a system. This is a spiritual system before I get into the practical system, right? This is a spiritual system that helped me. The spiritual system sounds so simple. But the spiritual system was prayer. That's it. Like, I don't have a huge, big, like, 10-step praying plan, devotional, fasting. I do all those things. You know, I regularly do all those things. But that's not what I used, right? It was prayer. Waking up 4 a.m. in the mornings, praying throughout the day, leaning on the strength of God is literally the system, right? The faith-based spiritual system that I use to be able to navigate. And prayer helped me to choose the right coach. It helped me to know what offer that I needed to create to make money. It helped me to be able to navigate having I had 2 young babies while I was building this business. And that was like, that's alone when I go back and I'm like, how did only the grace of God and prayer, lots and lots of prayer, and also like just really being obedient to that prayer. Like, so after I spoke to God and he gave me an instruction, I really tried to just do the thing and do it right then and there, right away, right? Really, that was the faith-based system. That was a spiritual system. Now the practical system, right, which I'm gonna be getting more into, like, as I do this series, I'm gonna like share my screen and show you how to use the system, right? The practical side now is the system I use is called Dubsado, right? So Dubsado is actually a system that allows you to invoice a client, create and sign a proposal or contract, and then it's able to allow you to keep like a track record of, you know, all of the leads that you have. And so that was the one simple system that I used. But like I said, I remember like it was yesterday, 2021, it was in January, when I was putting in my first clients that I was charging $500 to do social media. And I was super excited because I knew I was embarking on a new journey. And when I put her information into the system, I had no idea that most business owners don't do this. Like, I thought it was typical, it was normal that if you were a business owner and you like wanted to, you know, like start a business, I thought it was normal for people to create a system. See, I was in corporate, what they would call corporate, because I worked for Amazon, AT&T, all those places, and you would never walk into a corporate office and there not be a system that is used to invoice, handle customer service, have the people's information. There were systems everywhere. That is what built these corporations. So even though here I was starting this business and I only had one client at 500 US, yes, because I'm in the US, right? Like, it was a no-brainer that I needed a system. And it didn't take me probably 2 hours to set up the system. It probably took me minutes. But what I've recognized is most persons struggle with growing a business because they don't recognize the necessity for systems. They don't recognize the importance for systems. So my goal is helping, again, yes, all of my strategies can apply to men, but my goal is really helping women and more so moms to be able to grow and scale their business using systems in their lives and systems in their business, and really allowing them to transition into full-time marketplace ministry. All right, so that's my desire, that's my goal, that is what my intention is for any video that I create. That I don't just want more women to just make more money. I want them to be able to have a system so that that money can multiply, because that's what a system does. A system is a multiplier. Here's the thing, you have a system right now, but most people's system either help them to fuel or like funnel more chaos in their lives, or your system helps you with structure, order, stability, and increase. So everybody, whether you recognize it or not, everybody is living by a system, right? Like if you have dishes in your sink that are not washed, you don't have a system to keep them consistently washed, right? Especially if maybe that system is your hands, maybe you don't use your dryer, right? But for every situation in your life, if you look at it, right, there's a system. If you're constantly filled with anxiety, depression, you can't do the things that you feel led to do, check your system. Do you have a system of accountability? Do you have a system of people that are supporting you? Do you have a system of self-care? Do you have a system of being able to take, like, not just take care of your physical body, but take care of your mind? Like, what is the systems that you have for any of these things? Do you have a system for personal development where you read certain books that you're struggling in an area? Do you have a system even in your faith, right? Even in your faith, what is your system? Do you have a system of fasting, of prayer, of fellowship? Like, everything. Oh my God, it's one of my favorites. Hey. Hey. I think I saw that you had a daughter, right? Oh my gosh. I was thinking about you recently, and I'm like, I don't have your number anymore because when I transitioned to the US, like all the stuff in that phone, I lost them. But hi. And that's Shorty. Hi, Shorty. But yeah, so I'm just talking about implementing systems to be able to grow and scale a business and transitioning into a business full time. All right. So if you go back, I talked about the three fears. The three fears in business, right? Financial instability. Hey, Jason, that's my brother, y'all. Financial instability. I talked about fear of failure, right? And so I definitely think go back and listen because that was really good, right? Talking about fear of failure, instability, and feeling unqualified, that imposter syndrome that tends to happen in business. And again, I just want to encourage you that if you've started a business before and for whatever reason it failed, right? I want you to put it into perspective, okay? Because if you think about who did the light bulb, Thomas Edison? I think I'm right? He failed 100 times before he found the one right way, right? So that meant he had to go over and over and over again. And one of the things in life that sometimes is a hard lesson to learn is to consistently fail at the thing that we desire to achieve and to persist beyond the failure, because persisting beyond the failure is where you actually get the results, so like if you failed at a thing before but you still feel called to do it, you still feel like it's the right thing to do, put your failure into perspective of the many ways that you now know not to do the thing and also put it into perspective of the many ways that now you can try, because that way it didn't work, right? But again, I really believe it all comes down to systems. And so as I mentioned, my 2 systems, right? Prayer, definitely the top system, and I had an actual system called Dubsado that I use, and I'm gonna put a link in the wherever the place is. I'm gonna put a link in for that system for you to be able to take a look at it. It has a free trial, but as I mentioned, that system, and I didn't have, like most people that make their first 50,000 in business, they probably have the average maybe, I don't know, 30 clients. I literally did not have more than 10 clients. What I did have was a very good offer, and I had a very good system to scale that offer, right? So I had I think it was social media alone at the time I was offering, right? I wasn't doing business consultation. Majority of the things I'm doing now, I wasn't doing back then. I didn't know how to do it online myself, right? But that's literally the system I use. I use Dubsado to scale and grow. I had 10 clients and I had a really good offer, right? And with that offer, I was able to consistently provide the offer, provide that service. I created add-ons for that service, right? Upsells, downsells. I created all the things around this offer, right? This one core offer, using this one main system. So if you want to grow and scale a business, if you want to transition into what I call full-time business or full-time marketplace ministry, like I'm the person that can help you to do that. Not because I've done it perfectly, but because I've failed enough at it to probably know the way that you need, or the direction that you need to go. So I do have, I'll also put a link in there. I do have my calendar link where I do business consultations. I am a consultant at heart because I've worked with Amazon, AT&T, all these companies, and even though you're helping people, training different agents on customer service, all these things, at the end, at the heart of it is knowing how to help someone to move from one place to the next. It's listening to them, and providing a solution. And I am excellent at providing a solution. Right, Sean Dizzy, I can't believe if you call yourself Sean Dizzy, no? Like, come, we gotta talk about this. Right, but yeah, so feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I'm really wrapping up, but I want to remind you, if you're a parent, if you're a mom, if you're, faith-based, I want to remind you that this really is a time for us to stand 10 toes deep on our faith that actually moves mountain. And that faith might look like today you doubt, and tomorrow God, if you ask him the right questions, if you really believe in whatever you read in the word, if you believe in when you're as a child growing up and you recognize that it's only the love of God and the grace of God why you're still alive today, you will tap into that faith. That faith is available today. That faith is available now. That faith is available in the midst of any trial, any struggle, any hardship that you're going through. Like, it is available to you. It is literally as simple as saying, God, I don't have the faith, help my unbelief. It is simple as saying, I am doubting that anything I'm doing is gonna work. I am doubting that, I can change my life, or my life can look any different. It's having that communication, a simple conversation. That's what I see prayer as. I don't see it as, it's a simple conversation and saying, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to surrender this business to you. I want to surrender my children to you. I want to surrender my marriage to you. Like, you help me to build this thing that you've called me to, because clearly you called me to parent because I have these kids, right? But I don't know what I'm doing and I don't want to mess them up, right? Clearly you called me to this business because, this 9 to 5, like, that it's been rough, and okay, the business isn't the best thing, but it's what you've called me to. Like, just surrendering whatever it is that you have, like, that's always the first place. And I can promise you, if you trust that, even if you don't know God or you don't know what the higher power is, I can promise you that you will start to see things in your life align because you decided to just have one conversation. It really is that simple. You start to see things in your life change. So yeah, I just want to remind you again, if you're a business owner, that you're not just building a business. You're building something that your children are going to watch you work on. You're building something that your children are going to be able to see directly help their lives. And the reason people talk so much about a legacy with building a business is that your business can become a legacy, not just something that helped 100 people or whatever amount of people, but something that your children will be able to recognize. Your children can have a literal trust fund from, your children can have all these benefits from, but they'll be able to recognize that their God-given rights on this earth is to live and do and breathe into whatever God has called them to do, whatever vision, whatever dream, whatever goal, no matter what it looks like to other people, and even sometimes no matter what it looks like to yourself. Because I've told people there's many times where I'm doing this business and it don't make no sense to me either, but I see it growing and I see myself growing, and that is the best gift that I can give right back to God, is whatever he's invested in me, every talent, every skill, every job opportunity, every degree, is giving it right back to him by serving the people that he's called me to serve. So yeah, again, those are my 2 systems. I'll put the link in, I'll put the link somewhere for consultations, and I'll also put the link in for Dubsado, the system that I actually used. So yeah, if there's no questions, I think I am gonna end this live. Let me give 1 minute for questions. If anybody has any questions or anything they want to share or anything they want to comment before I end this live. And knowing me, this live was probably 30 minutes, but it's good. Right, Shandizi? Because I am a trainer. I will train all day. I am a trainer at heart. Right. Oh yeah, if you have a business and you want corporate training, I offer customer service training, sales and retention trainings. Those are like that's not my niche, my skill sets. I can offer those kinds of trainings. I don't see any questions. Okay, I'm gonna give it 1 more minute. And if there's no more questions, then I'm gonna end the live. But thank you guys so much for watching and engaging with the hearts and the likes, and all the support. I really appreciate it. Oh, that's another thing. Sometimes we believe that when we start something new, we will not be supported, but you know what? There is so much more love than hate. There is. It might look like hate is winning. It might look like all the things in the media, it's like it's winning more than love and good people, but it's not true. There's lots of love out here. There's lots of good people. There's lots of support. And the naysayers and the haters and the people who comment bad and cuss out people, they're a drop in the bucket. They're a tiny number. And so whatever you're being led to do in this season, just hold your head down and do what you gotta do, and don't watch no face. Okay, I don't see any questions, so thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode in this Faith That Moves Mountain series, where I'll be talking about faith and systems to grow and scale your business.